Welcome to More Than Mindset, the only podcast that bridges the gap between spirituality and success. Go beyond the mind with clarity and confidence coach Kim Guillory and learn how to integrate your passion to serve with your skills and experience to create a business you love. Let's get started.
Before we jump in, if you're a woman who's ready to create real wealth and expand your impact, you need to be at Belief Bootcamp. This is where we upgrade the beliefs that shape your business, your money, and your future. If you want more ease, more clients, and more receiving, it starts here. To join me for this free one-day experience, click the link to sign up in the show notes.
Now let's get into today's powerful conversation.
Hello, and welcome back to the show. I have another fabulous guest for you. For those who are new to the show, my name is Kim Guillory and I am your host. I am doing a wealth series and we are targeting women in wealth, especially women over 50. And I met Barb a few years ago, fell in love with her mission and vision and passion. We just hit it off. Guys, like the first 4 or 5 things we said to each other was like, me too, me too, me too. And I was like, this is crazy. And then she tells me her name and I'm like, that's my sister's name. And then we find out even like the years we were married and it was crazy. But anyway.
And the salons that we owned and that we even did the same things, tanning beds, all the same things.
Yeah. It was like the yoga and the hair. It was unbelievable. It's like a sister on another. I
called my husband and said, I met my sister. Out of 5,000 women in this room, I got seated next to a fallen sister.
It was insane. So anyway, since then we have kept in touch and Barb told me something that day and she went off and did it. And that's what I want to talk about today. I was so inspired by her passion and drive. And she was in the middle of a family situation. I remember like her checking on all these things that were happening outside of the room, but she was there for her own personal growth. And she wanted to materialize this idea that was in her mind. Welcome, Barb Pitcock. I'm going to let you introduce yourself as far as how would you say who you were back then compared to who you are right now? Like whenever we met.
Oh, who I was then? I think we're all on a personal growth journey. And I feel like I definitely left that room and went to 10x every dream that I had in my heart. And when I met you, Kim, I was seriously what back then I would have referred to it as I was really broken because I knew I was meant for more, but I was questioning every decision because I wanted to make sure that I made the right decision. And I had been through so many things in business that I didn't trust anyone. And so I went there to be in a room where I didn't know anyone. And I sat down in the front because I knew I wanted to be in the front rows. And there you were. And I just remember your energy. Like we attracted one another because energy matches energy. And it was one of the most amazing events I've ever been to because of you. Like we sat together, we talked, we grew, we laughed, we cried, we shared deep secrets. And we went and manifested, both of us, everything that we wanted over the next couple of years. And I love that we're both in completely different areas of building our wealth, but we both want the same thing. I think we all want the same thing. We just don't know how to get there. And that's what I love about our friendship. It's great to be able to talk to another powerful woman that's not threatened by my success, that literally is excited for me and genuinely wants to serve and bring value. And you're just so good at that. I love your coaching because every time I get off the phone with you, I feel better than I did when I got on. You're the powerhouse. You're amazing. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So I'm remembering were you still in the CBD? Because that was your start, right?
We still own that manufacturing facility. We created a company called Vibrational Essential Oils in 2002, I believe. And that's back when the whole frequency thing was a little bit woo-woo. I remember at that event that day, meeting Natalie Dawson and being like, maybe I should do private label for the next 10X ladies event and just send them a bunch of, in fact, I did. I'll send you a bunch of white label stuff. That's how different my life was. I think it was 3 years ago. And I was searching, I was praying, and I knew that was a great business we've built for a couple of decades, but I knew that wasn't the future cutting edge thing that was going to take me from where I was at to where I wanted to be, because it wasn't just about making money anymore. And yes, when we launched our manufacturing company, it was essential oils. You and I connected over that because you had been with doTERRA. And I was like, we actually make oils for network marketing companies like that. And that's how you and I first started talking. And I hadn't opened a network marketing company at that point. I was manufacturing for 3 of them and had been in the space majority of my life. That's a whole different story I wrote a book about. But when CBD came out, it was so hot and I was so skeptical because I thought it was marijuana. Like, I was so uneducated. And I was telling my husband what was comfortable. Like, we have the best essential oils and we're putting vibrational tuning with them. And like, why would we want to rock the boat and go do that? It's so controversial. And I've never even been high. So you got to understand, like, I was a big old anti CBD, but it was CBD that really 10x'd our business. And we went from having a few hundred stores, pharmacies, med spas, and some clients. Like, we did Founder of Fiji Water, all of their essential oils and CBD creams when they launched. When we decided to take that uncomfortable path and create that new category where we brought CBD with the essential oils, we 10x'd our company. We went from 350 clients to 1,200 clients almost overnight. And I spent the next few years on the road at markets, businesses were white labeling. We could make anything: skincare, essential oils, CBD, and it was hot. But making a lot of money, being on the road, being at a different market every week, like, that wasn't necessarily my purpose in life. And I feel like I was doing that because I had been wounded in the network marketing space. And I was like, I'm never doing that again. And that's another place that you and I connected, because you were like, I did doTERRA and you had some weight loss thing that you were like, me and my daughter are going to try this. And I was like, yeah, okay. Like, I was not recruitable. I was not sure where I was going. I just knew I was going somewhere. And I was really praying about it. And then after that, Kim, so much happened over the next 3 years after you and I met.
I remember this part. So I've been with Sarah. So I have done direct sales as a buyer, a consumer, many of them. And I did really well. Like, I hit in my first year in Avon, I hit like President's Club, where you got just doTERRA. I won the trip to Jamaica and I hit gold rank like within the first 3 months. And this is where we were connecting and stuff, but we were both burnt out from it because of what I recognized was my inability to lead, is why I came tumbling down. And I was just like, I never want to do anything again that I could be taken down. My empire can be taken down by another person. That is where you and I met. That's what we were saying. Do you remember?
Network marketing PTSD.
Yeah. And because I loved it. I remember like having 800 people and then a whole front line, but none of them were in business. Like, I had just placed them there because I had to have someone there. And it's really where I learned that the previous years, even in my own business, was where I was hitting the roadblocks. It was, how do I pass the skills on to someone else? How do I pass the torch to someone else? How do I trust another human? So you told me, we're going to develop something. You were playing with some patches, some oil. Like, we kept, guys, if any of you are women in business, you know what we're talking about, where we're not really recruiting, but we can't help but sell what we love. And that's what was happening. But both of us were like hard stops, and we were like, but we're going to be friends.
And the thing was, I was co-CEO of a company doing millions of dollars in sales with patches, transdermal patches. And I made millions of dollars, but I was in an incredibly toxic relationship. And so when I look back at my 30 years, I've been in the industry of direct sales. My husband was a professional bull rider. I was a beautician. We live in a little town in Kansas of 2,000 people. This is not Kansas. This is a bunch of Airbnbs that we own on Grand Lake of the Cherokees. But in Kansas, it's a small town. We were born and raised there. I'm the oldest of 5, had a single mom, no money. And so when Dave and I got into direct sales, it was 1996. Bob Dole was running for president, and Dave's grandmother was his best friend. So you got to understand, we're 2 kids. A guy from our hometown is running for president. Grandma knows him. We're on the campaign with him, selling the shirts, selling the buttons. We're like, we're going to be rich. And then he didn't get it. And this is not political, but let's just say oil was $7 a barrel. Everybody was losing their homes. I owned a dance school. I owned a salon, 3 tanning beds, a coffee bar. We had an antique and gift gallery. I had 70 dance students. So I was not a stranger to hard work. Like, we were hustling, making money, but we really believed that our ship was coming in and like we were going to be out on the dock. And we had 23 and 24 years is how old we were. And all of a sudden we ended up in a disgusting situation financially, which I won't go into, but I was in a bankruptcy at 23. My husband was 24. He was riding bulls to make money on the weekends. I was 2 babies and 1 on the way, cutting hair, teaching dance, 1 in the tanning bed, 1 wants a latte mixed, 1 wants to buy a consignment candle. Like, I was working harder, but I didn't understand the whole working smarter, because before Dave and I got married, I was in Amway, not once, but twice. I did Party Light 3-wick candles. I did Arbonne to get the free trip. I was not afraid to work hard, but I kept coming up short. And I was just like you, Kim. I was like, I can't get anyone else to duplicate what I'm doing. And I think that's it. It's not that you didn't have the ability to lead. It's expecting you out of other people. Like you and I.
Scale, I think. It's not to lead, it's to scale. Like, we're great service providers. We can sell anything we believe in. We're accountable, dependable, reliable, committed. That's like a powerhouse, right? The hustlers.
Yeah.
But how do you multiply that? Which is what we're going to talk about today, guys. We are talking about multiple sources of revenue. So we're getting there. But this, I wanted to make sure that you got the gist of where she is coming from. This is a hustler. And I can relate because I was a hustler. Like, we were just like, we're going to make it work. But we kept coming up short. You just said we're coming up short. And Dave talks about this in his book, coming up short. Why do we come up short?
You just get burned out because you just get to the point you quit believing that it's ever going to actually take a life of its own and that you're the one that has to do all the work. And we only have so much energy. And then we get to the point we have energetic debt because we're giving, we're serving, we're loving. And Kim, the long story short is, after that bankruptcy situation, I remember we had our 3rd baby on the way and a sheriff came to the fence. My little girl was 2. My little boy was 3 months old. Or no, Chance was a year. Brooklyn was 2. They were just 9 months apart. And the sheriff knocked on the fence and we were about to blow Barney candles out on a Barney birthday cake. And he said, Dave, you're going to have to come with me. And it was 1996. Dave got arrested for a $7 check. And I remember the humility of that, Barb. We were making money. We had all these businesses. The economy plummeted. It was a year after an election. It was much like the times we have right now where everything's a little bit, everyone's scared. And Dave looked at me and he said, I'm going to do this home-based business. I was like, I'm not. Get a refund. You're going to look like a dork, because Dave was a bull rider. I was like, what do you think you're doing? You're going to go sell like Slick Willie in a suit and tie. That's literally what I called him. And I remember he was so offended. And he said, why are you being so mean? And I said, it's like Amway. And I remember Dave looking at me and said, what's Amway? And I was like, let me just educate you, right? Because I was so negative about the industry because I had been so burned and burned out. But in the next 93 days, this bull rider with the right system, the right product, and a really good mentor replaced every income from all 5 businesses, said, you can be a stay-at-home mom. And I became a believer. And I think what it really is, it's timing, it's having good people and systems. And there's just so much noise, so much hype. It doesn't matter if it's real estate, network marketing, fitness centers, or churches. There's good and bad people everywhere. And I think you got to be in alignment with good people. And I could write a whole nother book because I built an empire 3 times with the wrong people. One company went bankrupt. I was $1 million earner. One company sold to a big NFL superstar, which I'm not going to mention any names, but everyone knows him. He's like the legend of all legends. And that didn't all pan out. Like, just because you're a great athlete doesn't mean you know how to run a direct sales company. And then I created my own. I didn't know about 10X or scaling a business, right? $1 million in 90 days in a little town of 2,000 people. Then after 9 years of a debt-free company, I trusted someone to scale it and take it to 50 countries. And guess what happened? I ended up losing it all again. They literally stopped paying me. And I think after you do this multiple times, you just say, that industry is not for me. And if anyone could be hardened and play the victim card and go crazy on social media and play the somebody done me wrong song, I could do it, Kim. And that's where I was at the day that you and I met. I went to that event because I was thinking I'm not going to do network marketing anymore. I got in the Airbnb business right here on this lake, and I was like, I'm going to go to this real estate thing, right? So I went to the 10X event to learn how to scale my real estate empire, invest all the money that I had made into real estate where I couldn't get hurt. Nobody would abandon me. Nobody would take advantage of me. I wouldn't put all my eggs in one basket ever again. And I was making a lot of money. And Airbnbs were popping. And one house we flipped in 90 days after going to that event, made 100 and some thousand in 90 days. Kim, I never felt ever, even with 100,000 in 90 days, I never felt like I did when a single mom paid for ballet with her commission check in a direct sales company. And I just, it's every ounce of my being. I've made a lot of money. I live to help other women make money. And real estate's awesome. It is I love it. I look for a house to buy every day. But the average person can get started in direct sales for $49 or less. And there's no ceiling on what they can make. I just think there wasn't a company out there at the time that I believed in that I could join. And when I was talking to you, I was really praying about that. You got to be careful what you pray for, because man, did I have a few years of adversity between then and where I'm at today. And it was not fun.
I remember in our conversation, we were talking about depression and addiction and just the struggles like between our families, ourselves. And you said this was on your heart. You were going to create an impact in this area. You were going to find an alignment. You were going to find a product or some kind of service or something. I remember that specifically. That was our theme. That was the course we were running together, was to create change, to help people get out of poverty and scarcity and sickness and depression and oppression. That was the word that kept coming up for us, because both of us, small towns, small amount of people, not a lot of money in the areas. And it was the oppression. And we are sitting in luxury, right? At this event, we're like in the millions and in the billions. And it was so impactful. And then we met up again whenever we met, and you said, I did it. We have a product. I'm going to send it. You're welcome. Because you were doing the pilot for it the first however many months.
Beta testing it the next time I saw you.
You said I sold properties and I put everything into this. So I'm going to let you pick up from there, because I really want everyone here. Now, what I'm inspired by is your conviction of the opportunity. And we're just going to call out the elephant in the room. A lot of people have been burnt in direct sales, in network marketing, in MLM. Most. And that is your objection to overcome. That's what the seller be sold. Yeah. That is what they're up against. But in real estate, it's the same thing. They invest in multifamily real estate and they don't get their return right away, or they don't get the promise. And then somebody sees that, then they can't sell it. They can't do capital gain raising anymore. So it's just objections. We all have to overcome objections in life about selling or being sold. But you're convicted, and you were convicted that day too. I knew you weren't going anywhere. You were a saleswoman then.
I was so open. My teachability index that weekend was so big. I bought every book. I remember when I read Elena Cardone, The Empire. I went and bought it for every girl in my family and said, it doesn't matter about any generational curse or anything that's happened in your life. Like, you have to read this. I loved that she talked about her years in addiction. And I really connected with that, because I had my firstborn. We all have our firstborn. And I don't think there's ever a love like you have when you become a mom. And there's nothing more important to me than my children and my family, not any amount of money, right? And so I remember taking that book to my daughter, and she was on a real struggle at that time. I hadn't hit rock bottom yet. You and I were talking about, I was trying to fix it, control it, change it, cure it. What did I do to cause it? I hadn't learned about the 4Cs yet. And no amount of money that I had made would take that away. Like, no amount of money could fix a child that I had struggling. Now, the roots were a lot deeper because my husband lost his only brother to suicide when my kids were 4 and 5 and 2. And then fast forward, it goes deeper. Let's go reverse. When I was 5, my dad lost his only brother to suicide. So sitting there with you that day, Kim, there was a keynote speaker on stage. I don't even remember it. We don't even have to mention the names, but there was this person on stage talking about depression in the brain.
That's right.
And I was praying that the right thing would come along. Lord, lead me in the right direction. And I remember I videoed the whole thing, sending my husband, like, go look this up. Methylated B helps the brain if you have depression. And I remember you said, I'm going to leave the room and go get a blood test. And I was like, maybe I should leave the room and go get a blood test. Like, we were open to learn. And I knew in my heart, like, of all the speakers that talked about all the money, the thing that stuck out in my head the most is that depression, anxiety, and mental health could be an imbalance in your nutrients and your minerals. And fast forward, at the time when I met you, my mother-in-law was battling cancer and had been in a head-on collision. I was her caregiver. I was probably 50 pounds heavier than I am now. I don't even look the same as I did back then, but I was trying to be the person that controlled and fixed everything. I was a fixer, and I hadn't grown to the point that I am today. But when you told me that you were an energy healer and that you could feel this energy about me, I was literally like, I need to get closer to her. Whatever's on me, I need to get it off, right? Because I was empty. I had made the money. I had the success. I'd been $1 million earner since 1996 in direct sales. The only years I hadn't been $1 million earner was when I was starting over because the owner of the company had changed the rule, bankrupt the company, or terminated the top leaders or something. And so I knew what it was like to have that kind of residual income, but I was so wounded. I was like, I'm gonna do real estate. In the meantime, I left that event praying for the right thing to happen. And I really had a desire to create the right company, the right culture, the right product, but I didn't want to just go be a Me Too nutrition. Like, everybody's doing something. Everyone's trying to knock off the GLP-1 or the peptide or the skincare, or this removes your wrinkles, or that's your weight loss, or, oh my God, we got this new berry that fell off a tree in the jungle and the guy tripped over it. And I was not going to do that. Like, I am so burned out on that, right? I wanted to create something that was so different. And the whole time my kids were like, we have vibrational healing oils. And I was like, yeah, but so does doTERRA and Young Living and every other company that added oils. We had CBD, but I was like, that's not going to wake someone up at night to be like, oh my God, I found this new thing. And I was praying, Kim, and I knew that my divine purpose was to help people with mental health because it's caused more pain in my life. Suicide, depression, alcohol addiction, drugs has caused way more pain in my life than any other disease, but people don't treat that like a disease. Like, when my mother-in-law got cancer, everyone sent cards and had a fundraiser. When my daughter was on opiates and passing out, everybody was like, she's a junkie, she's a loser. They were labeling her. And I wanted to stand up for that person that was just trying to feel good. Well, my mother-in-law passed away in November. I sold my shares of the company that I was co-CEO of, walked away from millions of dollars in January, said, I'm going to start something with I didn't have a non-compete or anything. I was just like, you take that and you can have it all as long as I can go just start over on my own. And within that month, grieving the loss of my mother-in-law, selling a business that I had spent years and years building just to have my own freedom to go do my own brand, my daughter overdosed on fentanyl. And that day when I got that call, I remember like nothing mattered. I just was pleading with the Lord of the universe to please do not let her die until I get back home. I was actually at a wedding in Mexico, overseas, with 50 messages on my phone when I came out of the wedding, like, she's blue, she's in an ambulance. And that day, February 23rd, forever changed my life. It was 3 years ago. I think I must have been with you just a couple weeks before that, actually. And what happened was I took a year off to try to get my daughter well. And during that year, there's no way I could have started a company. I just walked away from all this income. We had a lot of properties here. I sold the properties, some of them, not all of them, to create a formula to help my own daughter feel okay. Because what's wrong with an addict or anyone with a mental health issue, an addictive personality, right now, addiction is 1 in 4, and mental health, I need help, admitting I need help, statistics are 1 in 3. So if you have 4 kids, one might be struggling with addiction. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to put that energy on anyone. But when I look around, I'm the oldest of 5, and there's about 30 nieces and nephews. The odds are in my family, some young adult is going to come up against this. That's just what the odds are. Most people struggle in silence. They won't even say they're struggling. And that's the problem. So gaming is the #1 addiction right now, because it creates this dopamine to the brain, whether it's pornography, gaming, people who are abusive, whether it's spending, Amazon, shopping, whether it's social media, whether it's drugs, alcohol. I think I already said gambling, whatever it is, it's because that dopamine that goes to the brain makes that person feel different. And so somebody tries something, oh, I'll drink a glass of wine. I'll do that every night because it makes me feel better. For some people, they can do that and then quit. For other people, they can't quit because without it, their brain doesn't feel okay. And I didn't understand everything until I dove a lot deeper into it. But when you have a child that's dying, you don't really care about anything else except what can I do to fix this problem? And that didn't fix it because it's her journey, right? But me as a mom, I was as sick as she was, and I wanted to feel okay. So when I created the formula that year here at this house, like I took her all the way to Oklahoma. I'll take her from Kansas and lock her up away from all the bad people. And then I'll take her to the treatment center and I'll get her some counseling. I'll drag her to church. I'll get her in a group setting. Like that doesn't make your brain change. Anyone can stay sober in jail or treatment center. What makes you wake up and have that oxytocin, those endorphins, that the minerals that your body needs for your brain to just light up? And that's really how the company was born. I got my purpose through a lot of pain, Kim, and it was nothing that you and I could force sitting at that table. I had to go on my own journey and really be praying with discernment and be in alignment with something that I would sacrifice the money for, burn all the ships, go all in, whether anyone was going to follow me or not, and know that I knew that this was different. A company founded by a struggling mom and dad that had so much purpose to fix a problem and to create an opportunity that wouldn't be like all the other companies that we talk about. And it was organic, Kim. Like when I met you, I was like, try this and tell me how you think it tastes. And you were like, dang. Like how the whole thing went, it's just been nothing short of a miracle. And I'm going to give God all the credit. And I do believe that when we move, God moves. And when you're in alignment with something that you believe in, sometimes you just have to surrender it and manifest it, just focusing every day on what you want, not what you don't want. And the more I talked about all the people that did me wrong, all the bad things in the industry, all the leaders that I thought were loyal, or the people that were on my front line or whatever, like none of that mattered. I had to believe that if it was just me and I was talking to 8 or 10 people, that 8 or 10 people would be like, I'm doing what she's doing. And if I couldn't believe in it that much, I was not going to do it because it is so competitive. Yeah. And there's no way I was going to start a company and just be the next thing. I either wanted to be #1 or I did not want to do it. And I feel like we created something really special. So it wasn't just the brain product, though. We did minerals that would get all the toxins out of your body. And then we created a new technology that is frequency infused in the product. So a lot of people are sleeping on grounding sheets, or like I walk outside barefooted every day. A lot of people are going to get frequency treatments. We literally infuse the product with 11 harmonic frequencies, the frequencies of your major organs, to help raise your vibration so your body can actually do what it needs to do to get better.
I have them right here.
Oh, look at you go.
right here and right here. And this is what she's talking about.
Yeah.
So all of the products have this. And it's frequency nutrition. Frequency, is that what you call it?
Frequency infused nutrition.
Infused
So
nutrition. Yeah. For a visceral example, it's when, and I drink this every day. Everybody, all my people know it's always around me. It's like this bing. That's it. That's all I can say. There's no like high or low. But I think what you were saying earlier, but skipped over, is for an addict or for someone who needs that dopamine, they're not going to just go somewhere where they don't get a dopamine and where they don't get the hit. And this gives the hit. That's what you were looking for, is a product that you could feel. Because if you can get the visceral experience, you get attention. It's like a chew toy, right? The brain needs to light up. It's like the first taste of the first sip of wine. There's that shoot. That for me, that's what it was with alcohol. That's why I had to stay away from it, because I got the hit and then it was just like this. I never got that hit again. But at first my ears would get warm and there was just this, and that's what you were looking for. You said that. You remember you telling me that it had to be something they could feel.
Mhm. And here's the truth. I've never been high in my life. There's no euphoria. This is as close as you can get legally to microdosing those 7 organic mushrooms that support the blood, the brain, your breathing. If you Google just one of the 7 organic mushrooms in that blend, some people pay $100 a month just to get whatever mushroom it is that they think, oh, that will help. At the time, Kim, if you remember, I had bags of cough drops and I had some major lung issues. I was constantly sucking on a cough drop so I wouldn't cough in the event. I have not been sick ever since I have been on the product. And so for me, I've never been an addict. I've never really struggled with any depression other than when I was so upset and anxious about my daughter that was out of control. Every day I was like, is she gonna die? Because if she didn't have opiates or fentanyl, she was laying on the ground like a dead cockroach, flopping, like her body was dependent on it. And it started out one little pill at a college party. This was top 10 in her class, making 20,000 a month in her 20s, running a pet hotel. Like the girl was lit. She was smart. She was vibrant. She was beautiful. She was talented. And one day, a bunch of the girls on the dance team, she was a college dancer, they went to the movies. Everyone took a pill. It was better than if they were drunk driving. And then everyone else stopped and she couldn't. And it was a 10-year struggle. And so my heart goes out to any mom, any parent, anyone that's ever been through that, because that addict doesn't want to be an addict. People say, oh, if they want to quit, they will. Yeah, I have friends that tried to quit drinking, that their family takes care of them now because they're a vegetable.
Yeah, or they're gone. They're dead. This is I see this back
People
home.
are just uneducated. They don't understand that our bodies become dependent on these things, and then we're sick if we don't have it. And so for me, I've never been an addict. I would say I'm a pretty happy person, very high energy, very motivated, tons of ambition, but I felt so empty. And during the menopause, I was moody, angry, irritated, zero sex drive, gaining weight, mad at everyone, wondering how I could get back to my old self. And the day that I drank these, it was like I could focus. I'm a squirrel. Like I've never been diagnosed, but guarantee you ADHD. It is my superpower. Like I could do 150 things at one time, but then I'm like, what was I just doing? And so when I started taking the mushrooms, and you don't taste the mushroom at all, it tastes like a palmer.
Delicious. This is
Oh,
I like the original. Even though I've tried all the specialty ones, nothing's like the original.
The original is like an Arnold Palmer tea. It's so refreshing and light. But I was so happy and nice. I didn't cry that day. I didn't go off on anyone that day. I remember just feeling confident and focused. And I was like, dang, there is something in this. And Kim, you were like one of the first 15, 20 people that I had it in a little sample thing. Like it wasn't like we were open yet. And I remember you said the same thing. You were like, whoosh, like I just felt good.
Because I won't take something. I won't do supplements if I don't feel it. But that's me. I do have that addictive personality where I've got to feel something, and it's the charge in it. I don't feel because I do the evening one, like I use all the products, but there are other ones. This is great. I love the story. I love the product. I'm looking at the time. I know you're going to have to go. And I want to touch on the opportunity for direct sales because this is about women in wealth and it's a source of revenue for someone who like
I
wants
don't
an
know.
opportunity, right? Like, tell me about the company, like where you were, how old is the company? Where are you guys right now? What are the opportunities? Because that's the thing that lights you up is
Oh, yeah.
what are people doing with this?
So when we first started and we beta tested the product, we didn't even have a back office or a website. We just said influencers were the thing. Like everybody wanted to be an influencer. So we were like, and my kids are young and they have so much PTSD from watching everything I went through. They were like, we're never going to do what all these other companies do. So it was like a no handcuffs, come in, just get an affiliate link. You can sell it if you want, 20% on the real dollar, no structure. You don't have to get two that get one. You don't have to be on an auto ship. You don't have to buy so much a month. Zero minimums, right? Just come as you are, share your link, and we pay you $20 off every 100. That's how simple it was. And everybody was like, wow. No affiliate had ever made 20% right up front, right? So it grew to 30,000 customers very quickly. And then pretty soon, those people were like, what if my friend wants to do it? And her friend wants to do it. And her friend wants to do it. And there I was like, it's got to be network marketing. Like I knew there had to be that component. So yes, you can be an affiliate and you can just sell and make 20% on the dollar on every first order and up to 30% on the reorders. Or you could be like, I've been my whole life, and you can say, I want to build an empire with women or men, couples, whatever, all walks of life that want to build teams. So when we put that in there, again, I'm very competitive. I have 3 decades in this industry. I was like, we're not going to do any of the bullshit stuff that companies do where there's like this gotcha. Oh no, you got to have 2 legs the same, or you don't have 3 different pods or whatever. And we just wanted to be transparent, solve all the headaches. So we did up to 30% on reorders. We did a pool of shares of the company growth. If you just have 10,000 in total team volume, you get a 5% pool that you participate in, which is crazy because now you don't have all the women competing against each other. If Kim was a diamond in the company and I was a diamond in the company and you came in and you just got to a 10,000 in total sales level, you would share. And part of what we did, that was just crazy, right? But it kept the women from being jealous of each other because they're like, I hope she does good because I'm in on the growth of the company, not just a look at me. It was more like, look at we building this empire. And I was so inspired, Kim, the last time I came to the event with you, because we had just grown from 30,000 customers to like leaders coming on. And it went from 300,000 in sales with 30,000 people loving just the rise to adding products. And then it went to 1 million in a month. And I remember that month that you and I were sitting there, we literally sold 6 months of products in a month. We never missed a beat. We have an incredible infrastructure, zero debt, wildly successful over the past year. But that 1 million, then what do you do when that's doubling? And you have other top leaders that are coming in and they're just flying past anything that you've ever seen happen before. And that's what's happening right now. We had our official grand opening on Valentine's Day. So here we are, summer, 90 days into officially being opened. But we have had a couple of years of really laying a foundation of just rock solid infrastructure, 16 months of inventory. So we know we can handle the growth. We just opened in 12 countries, getting a warehouse in Canada next week on Monday and Amsterdam the week of 4th of July. And it's just been an absolute dream come true. But it's such a responsibility when you talk about women and wealth, because there are so many women that are depending on me to be the protector of their dream and the empire that they're building. And it's a family business. We have no outside investors. We do have an incredible partner as far as logistics and formulation and all of that. He's a billionaire, and you got to have that. You got to know that you can grow. But I'm very proud of what our team has done. It's definitely not a Barb thing. And I just keep giving God all the glory because I prayed for this, Kim, and I stayed in alignment with so much discernment. I knew that if I could visualize it every single day, how it was going to happen was none of my business, but everybody was getting in, money was coming, people were succeeding, lives were going to be changed and impacted. And it's crazy because in the beginning, I was like, this face product with Frequency is going to go crazy. And I was like, these products for discomfort, because CBD and essential oils was my background. I was like, this could be it. But never in a million years did I think there would be mushroom millionaires. Never did I think people would make 60, 70,000 in a month in such a short time. And so we have people that make 60 a month. We have people that make 600 a month. We have people that make 6,000 a month. And there can be 60,000 a month, but it's all dependent on your own work ethic. And there is no guarantee. There's no ceiling. But you ask me why direct sales? Like, I love this. It is my passion. I believe that you can be and do and have anything you dream of based on what you become and the people that you serve. And it's the only industry I've ever found in my life where you can morally and ethically make movie star kind of money. It feels like a ministry because you're helping other people. That's the way that you succeed. And to me, if you can make money and change people's lives at the same time. I love real estate. Don't get me wrong. There's no faster way than finding an ugly house in the best part of town, making it not ugly, flipping it, and getting your $100,000 check. That's fun. But not everybody can do that. And I feel like direct sales, I mean, they can, if they would, take the risk. But I feel like direct sales is the one way that I can really teach people how to build wealth and a residual check that you can then invest that money to build your real estate empire.
What I loved about it that I didn't know I loved back then that I know now that the part that I missed was that you can empower by developing. I didn't realize that it was development that was missing, like in the people, because they're coming and they want the opportunity, but they're lacking the correct information and data. And when you add that team component, that's the team leader's food for soul, whatever that's the thing you're talking about, where you're watching someone bloom from under and then like just become whatever they want, limitless, whatever they want through the correct vehicle with the development.
Well, in the system.
I've been talking lately about wanting to birth something, like channel this inner, create something. And you get to do that. You get to develop and create this empire. And so there's empires within the empire.
Yeah. And Kim, I think about you, the training that you've brought to so many women. The reason why most people don't succeed in direct sales is because they self-sabotage. Mm-hmm. It's right there. They could have it too, but they overthink it. They get afraid of the success. What if the person does join? What if it really does grow? What if I'm not a good speaker? Or another powerful woman comes in and they just thought they were like on their way. And then all of a sudden someone comes in that's equally as powerful and shoots past them. And then it's that whole imposter syndrome. And this is why it's so important that women get that circle, that they're at the table with other powerful women that are saying, like, you shining bright doesn't make me dimmer. Like, I don't have to blow your candle out for mine to burn brighter, because there's power in proximity. And when you and I are at a table together and we're both talking about our dreams and our goals and what we're going to manifest, we both believe that we're going to do what we say we're going to do. We don't have to tear the other one down and be threatened by someone else's success. And I feel like also, when you came to the very first event, we talked about systems, the onboarding. We have a new bot that, whether someone's from jail or Yale, like when they join, it tells them, like, do this on your first day, do this on your second day. Did you do this? Now do that. I didn't have that. I had to drive 4 hours to a meeting. We're out our cars.
Please come and try this. Come and smell this. Come and taste this.
Oh, it was so much work back then, Kim. People are spoiled now.
Yeah. Systems and strategy is that we have so much evidence ahead of us now. We didn't have, that wasn't always there, where the billionaires were at the table with us. I really think about the time I spend, like even with Grant and Elaine, like they're literally sitting next to us. I was at her house over the weekend. Eric Rory is another one that you and I both, in direct sales, he's a huge influence and inspiration for our success. But what I recognized was what we're talking about, self-sabotage, and what's holding us back is when there's envy and jealousy.
Oh, yeah.
And Emerson says that it's ignorance. It's plain ignorance to be envious, because it's not knowing if they can do it, you can do it too.
Yeah.
And imitation is suicide. So if I try to be you, I'm dead.
Yeah.
You try to be me, you're dead. And so both of these are it's just dumbness, like ignorance, dumbness, that
Well,
you think someone can have. If you hate on them, you'll never have it,
you're right.
because you're hating what you want and you can't have what you hate.
Gosh, say that again. That's the mic drop right there. And it's just people feel insecure and inferior. And so when they're threatened by that, then they sabotage their own success. Where if we could just continue to be authentic, that's the highest vibration of all. When you think about emotional, energetic debt, right? If I want to be the highest energy, and Kim, you and I are just like freaks. Like most people are not like us, right? But I feel like when you and I are together, we are just on another level where everyone else is just, oh my God, they're too much, right?
Mhm.
Like they're too much for me. But we have grown, we've enlarged our capacity, we have vision, we want to serve, we have so much inside of us that we want to give. And these people that sabotage, they don't realize they have everything inside of them. It's right there. It's that inner self. And because of whatever wound and whatever excuse, they're holding back in this comfort zone where all they have to do is just raise their hand and be like, pick me. I'm ready. I'm tired of struggling. And they can have it all. My husband was talking about it today. It's like you're in the little goldfish bowl and you
Yeah.
don't realize if you could just get out of the bowl, you could be in the pond or the puddle. And then outside the puddle is the lake. And from this lake goes a really wide river that eventually ends up in the ocean. But people just stay in the little bowl because it's
So it's
comfortable.
cozy. It's so cozy there. But when you try to contain that ambition, for me, it feels like I'm making myself sick. Like it has to go out. And so it's this, I'm not going to say, oh, I don't even know how to say this, other than the thing I wrote down was containing ambition feels almost like premature death, because it's like you're trying to kill it. You're trying to suffocate so that you're not too much for someone, so that they are not uncomfortable. And they have it too. They have it in every human. That's what Emerson is saying. Like, it's just dumbness to think they're on the stage. Like I was talking about this yesterday. If you have a bottle of lavender oil and I have a bottle of lavender oil, or let's just say we both have Rise, and one person is like on the stage, $1 million earner, and the other one is saying, I can't sell it because it's on Amazon. Somebody has it on eBay. They're selling it at the grocery store down the road for 20%. I can't sell. I can't make any money on it. It's what's inside, the limitation that is inside due to their inability to have, because they are unworthy of having, because of something someone told them, or an imprint that they received from the generational patterns. And that's what, I just want to get in there and
That's what you're so good at. I love how you just crack people open and you say, we need to get rid of this energy leak. I remember one day you told me you have a leak. It's just a leak. You need to fix this energy leak. One of the things you just said though, Kim, you were talking about this thing that's inside.
Ambition.
Yeah. Brian Tracy says to know what you're capable of, to know your potential and not do it. And I was with him in a room. He took his hands and he said, put your hands on your neck and push on your Adam's apple and squeeze. And to know what your potential is and to be operating on 10% of your actual potential is like someone has their fingers on your jugular, cutting off your oxygen supply. And you and I talked about this earlier. Like, we both have so much we want to do in this lifetime. And this is not a dress rehearsal. None of us are getting out of here alive. And we want to learn, we want to grow, we want to contribute. But what I think about every day now, it's not the money, it's the legacy that I will leave and the centers that I will build. Last month, we started our nonprofit to start to be able to build centers where, when there's a mom like me that has a daughter like mine, and I went to multiple places, 30,000 here. Do you have insurance? Do you have cash? You got to get accepted first. You got to go through the intake. Sometimes then by the time you get them there, they're ready to leave. And you're just such a desperate person wanting this loved one to get well. In my lifetime, Kim, before I die, there will be places all over where you can just pull up and say, we need help and we don't know what to do. And it's not going to be, how much money do you have? Do you have Blue Cross Blue Shield? Is this going to be insurance or cash? It's just going to be open arms of someone there that's been through it, that has been where we've been, that says, come over here, I want to help you. And we're going to start this journey. And I don't know exactly what that's going to look like, Kim, but I know that there are so many other people out there that have a heart for this like I do. And I'm going to be the woman to create this movement and make this ripple effect and this change. Opiates and overdoses killing more people than any war we've ever been in.
Yeah.
And it's just like it gets swept under the rug. Nobody wants to talk about it. Things are going to get better because they are doing what they can do to control it.
They don't know what to do about it is the problem. It's like the depression and these limiting beliefs and this containing this ambition. They don't know what to do about it. If you really think about where we send our children to get educated by people who actually don't have the answers. So we're infested by this not knowing. So that's why it's easier just to turn than to confront, because then you're having to confront your vulnerabilities.
Yeah. And I think a lot of moms are just in denial.
That too. Just anyway, we
they
can
don't
have a
even
whole
know-
nother show on that one.
We do need a whole nother show, but
So
long story short,
this one, I love the vision, the passion. It's exactly what you told me the day we met. I know it's going to happen, and it's not your business how it happens. It's your business to hold the vision as it happens. And as soon as your mind gets involved and tries to do it from the mental perspective and gets out of the spiritual, and that's what happens, right? That's why growth is so hard. But my question to you, I don't know, this might be my last one. I'm looking at the time. I know you got to go. I want to get it all from you.
Okay.
I've been wanting to do a show called The Courage to Cut. And I'm curious, what did you have to cut when you said to go all in there? And I think people misunderstand this. If they don't cut, they can't create. You have to cut to create. You have to prune to prosper. It's impossible to hoard and keep. You can't contain because of these human containers in this material world. So if you could just talk about, because you've built this is just the beginning. I see you worldwide. Yeah. What did you have to cut, and how scary was that at the time before you could see the fruition of it, which is where you are now?
Gosh, we sold Dave's childhood home. We had just buried his mom, and he's an only child, so he had her home, which sometimes we have emotional attachment to stuff that doesn't necessarily bring value, but we're afraid that we're going to have regrets. We sold that property. We sold our most profitable Airbnb here at the lake. And you got to think of it as a temporary sacrifice for a long-term freedom. I couldn't stay where I was and go 10x my income. With my children and our manufacturing facility that wasn't direct sales, we had 7 retail stores. I had one in Independence, Missouri. My daughter had one in Kansas City, one here in Tulsa. My son had 2 in Arizona, one in Hays, Kansas, one in Salina, Kansas. Because when CBD and essential oils was a thing, we did the retail stores, the kiosks, the markets. We were the main manufacturer for every CBD brand out there, right? And so we obviously had our own private label brand and stores. And this year, we have closed 3 of them, not because they weren't good stores, actually 4. Independence, Kansas City, Peoria, and Salina, Kansas last week. So the reason why is because you have to look at what is going to help. People say, oh, that doesn't compete. Here's my philosophy. If something competes with your time, your energy, your mental, or your money, it competes. And these
say it again for those
who competes with your time, your energy, your mental, or your money, it competes. And so I would have employees calling me where I didn't have a good manager. So-and-so didn't show up to work. We accidentally ran out of this product. If you don't have systems and it's not running, like you yourself can only carry so many people. And I sacrificed a lot there. All of those stores were very profitable, most of them, but there's only so much of you. And I really believe you have to have a magnificent obsession. Like you have to focus like a laser. I can't ride 3 horses with one butt. I can't shoot 2 rabbits with one gun. And I do believe you have to have multiple streams of income, but I didn't build VO essential oils while I was building Frequence to be $1 million company. I didn't do BEST Barb's coaching which I did for the year. When I was meeting you, I was doing coaching. But when I decided to launch Frequence and all those people decided I'm going to come with you to Frequence, I said, your coaching is free because you're part of my team, right? Now I'm not going to charge you for coaching anymore. And I'm not going to try to go coach people that aren't in alignment with what I'm trying to do. Because if I'm trying to take Frequence to be the #1 company in direct sales, I can't be coaching people, leading a team, running all the stores. Obviously, I have people doing all of our private label factory, but running all the Airbnbs. Like, we drove here this week because this lake flooded this week. Many of you saw it in the news. And it's the big fishing tournaments, and all of our properties are rented this weekend. But I'm on my way to a retreat with 100 top earners that I'm bringing to a mansion in Texas for the weekend. So I can't be mowing the lawn, changing the beds, fixing the sheets, and then go be leading top earners, right? So what you have to do is either delegate and have a system where it runs itself, or you got to figure out which income are you going to get going first. Because every one of those businesses that is profitable, I built during a season where that was my focus, right? And so I think the big mistake that people are making, and I'm not going to argue with an influencer that wants to influence 15 different things, because some people, maybe TikTok shop is their thing or whatever, but I've never met anyone doing 15 things
Well,
that is #1 successful doing something great. Like, they might be successful, but if you want to be the best at something, when Tiger Woods was going to be #1, there were a lot of things that weren't balanced in his life. And that was obvious. When Tom Brady was the #1 quarterback, there was a lot of things in his life that weren't balanced. And I think we all have this whole like self-care, and I'm triggered and I understand this, right? Self-care and your mental is so important. But if you want to be wildly successful, I came to meet Kim at an event and I missed out on Valentine's Day with my husband. I didn't have one holiday last year with my children because this is a family business and we were all working. Like Black Friday, we were working. We weren't sitting around eating, we weren't shopping, and we weren't eating turkey together. Now, there is a time and a season where I can be free for the rest of my life and do whatever I want with my family. But you got to be willing to sacrifice. And today I was on our logistics center ships for the largest companies in the world. And she said, the accountant there said, you are one of the only companies that we see growing in this space. And I was like, wow, because this is not like a hype thing. We've been doing this now for a couple of years. It's not like hype. It's sustained growth because we don't stop working.
mhm,
And I think you have to be willing to keep pedaling until you get the momentum going. So many people give up after 90 days or they're tired. True character is when you continue to keep working long after the excitement of the venture has begun. And this is a lifelong legacy for me, Kim. I will be doing this for the rest of my life, protecting this company with every ounce of my being. My children always say they watch their mom start over 3 times. And we don't care how much talent someone brings. It's not worth toxic in an organization. And that is one of the things that I learned from Elena at that
That's
event
right.
that weekend.
Empires are destroyed from the inside.
Side.
You let them inside those doors. That's who has the power.
So the culture is really what I love the most, is the culture that we're creating and the community and the stories of changed lives. We say it's very inclusive. We have all walks of life, all religions, all colors, all, languages. We're global now. And I feel like people can truly come here and know that authenticity is the highest vibration. We don't care what their past is. We welcome them with open arms. They actually can tell their story and people are moved by it instead of them coming here worrying and being ashamed of it. Our branding is come as you are and be authentic. And it's all love all the time. And just rising and vibing. The source minerals, those were because after losing my mother-in-law, I remember thinking, like, how do I get all the toxins out of my body and the nutrients and the minerals in? And that frequency on there, I think frequency in the medallion, when my daughter experienced that feeling of 11 harmonic frequencies on her body, was one of the biggest days in her journey. And I was like, what just happened? And that day we were like, what if we could put that on a product and create a brand new category no one has ever done, how would that work? And as we developed that, it just exploded. Just if you can be a category creator like Tesla was, or like Apple, or like you think of the first cosmetic company or the first person that did any certain thing, you have an edge. And right now, of course, everyone's going to try to knock this off. That's what entrepreneurs do. But right now, we have just created a new category that's never been done before, and it's changing a lot of people's lives.
Amazing. So guys, I will put the link below on where to get the product. If you want a sample, I'll put something there too, and we'll send you out some samples. Thank you for your time. We've been trying to do this interview.
We've been trying to do this for a year.
2 years. Like
2 years.
We've actually had it on the schedule a few times and rearranged. We met in person, said we'd do it in person. It didn't happen. And so we were talking this morning, and it's okay. It's time, because I keep telling your story and I keep showing the products, and I was like, I need you to tell your story.
And Kim, I just appreciate you. I want to say this is not about selling a product or a business. I want to say when I need to fix an energy leak and I need to talk to a powerful woman because I'm leading powerful women and I need to fill my own cup, there's 2 or 3 women that I know I can call. And when I get off the phone with them, I just feel so good. And it doesn't matter how heavy it is. When I call Kim, I mean, Kim, you just have a gift. And I love the power that you bring and the knowledge and the wisdom. And I rely on you a lot, and I appreciate your friendship. So I am sorry that it took us 2 years to do this. I should have been available for you sooner, but I think everything works out exactly how it should.
Exactly as it should. Look at the thing. We move so fast, and life moves so fast around us. How many things have happened since then? You didn't have all these countries back then. You didn't have the end game that you have with your daughter now. It was a totally different story a year ago.
Oh, I can't wait for you to have her on your podcast, because I feel like Brooklyn's story is just such a testimony to what people can do and how they can get their life back. Every day, it's a lifelong journey. It's not like it's just over, because there's so much trauma and self-limiting beliefs to break through. But that's where you come in, Kim.
The re-entry process for all of us. Like when we go to these high vibing events, and anyone here listening to this, you know this, when you go to conferences and events, or you're even sitting in these higher frequencies, and then you go back to normal. I've talked to you already at the airport. I was with your team, and I'm like, re-entry has begun. I said, I'm standing in line. I can feel the people in line that I'm getting in line with. It's re-entry. And I was fixing my rise while I was talking. I was like, hold on, let me put the phone here and let me vibe it up. Energy is real. How we manage it. And you said something earlier about limited energy. And I'm like, we are the energy. We're the source of the energy. But honestly, I'm with you now that I've experienced this for myself, because we're in this meat suit. We are limitless as a soul, but our physical form is like carrying a meat suit around. So it really, when you are in the loving other people business, bringing them back to life, like when you have taken that on as your purpose, your journey, your service or contribution, it just is. If you don't have the tools to keep that composed, and the authenticity of yourself and knowing who you truly are, in order to channel so that it's not coming from you. Yeah. That it's coming through you. And then you're using supplements and products to stay intact. That's, I think, the secret at our age that we've come to realize, that I wish we could get the message to more people.
And don't you think, Kim, one thing you and I talked about, someone of our age that is raising young adults as children, today more than ever, their mental health and anxiety, that's like a whole nother podcast. Like it is harder having young adults as children for me than it was when I had 3 and 4 years because we didn't have all the things. I feel like right now with social media and all of the 5G and electric cars and Apple Watches and AirPods, and we're so energetically drained. Yeah. People don't even know why they don't feel good. And that's where that frequency on the product really does help get their body, just calibrates, gets them in alignment. and helps them to feel good now. So Feel Good Now is my mission, a mental health movement. And Kim, I can't imagine what we're going to do in this lifetime, but we're just getting started. And I'm just so grateful to have a friend like you to share it with.
Thanks. All right. All right, guys.
Thank you.
I'll put the link so you know where to find us.
All right. Thank you, Kim.
Thanks for listening to this episode of More Than Mindset.